Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel.
Let's see about bolting this on now. They've got a lot of washers for us. TRX 1221s. They only show if, let's see how many they give us in here. Is there any more over here? No. Okay, so 2, 2, 2, 2. So 4 for each side. And interestingly enough, it looks like they want us to bolt them from underneath here. I don't know what purpose they would serve. Let's see. Stock bump steer setting is 4 washers under the steering ball link. Stock position is the center hole. Note orientation of Ackerman plate when installed. Okay. So, in other words, you're basically storing these washers and under here, and as you want to add bump steer, you're going to add washers underneath the linkage, in between the linkage and the Ackerman plate. Now, the reason for doing that is the more of an angle you have, the more bump steer you're going to get, or is it less? I forget. Okay, my understanding is that if you have if your steering linkages tilt down towards the center of the car, like this, you tend to have milder steering. And as you jack them up, the steering becomes twitchier or more pronounced. Anyway, I'll try to get you more info on that. But that's why they give us those extra washers and want us to put them there. So let's... let me see here if there's anything else that we want to do at this time. Okay, so 3x20s, we need 2 of those. I'm going to go ahead and use titanium for those. Now, I just want to check out my build sheet and see what it says as far as the washers and the location for those 3 holes there, which I'm going to be using. Okay, my build says 0 washers over the linkage, all 4 of them underneath, and the middle linkage, just like stock. So that's what I'll do. The stock setups aren't bad from what I'm seeing here. Some cars, the stock setups are atrocious. I noticed that with my my first TLR short course truck, the original short course 22, and I noticed that with more than one team associated 2-wheel drive buggy. I've built a couple over the years, can't remember the exact numbers on those, but the stock builds were always just, I don't know, I didn't like them. Maybe it was my driving style, whatever, but didn't like them. Always ended up doing a ton of tuning. So, but the Tekno kit, people's builds, even some of the pro drivers, they don't deviate terribly from the stock settings. Where they deviate, you know, they definitely deviate, but a lot of the settings, they do seem to follow just the stock layout, which is good. It means that the car was well designed from the start. So that's what it should look like. I would think that if you settle in on this build and you're not gonna be changing these washers, you know, you're happy with that bump steer, I would get a 16 millimeter screw. I would get rid of the washers and just be done with it. Why carry that extra weight around? Just, if you're not gonna ever change it, and you could always throw them in a box with a longer screw for the just in case, you know, I want to try changing that now. But it's something to think about, because it just doesn't seem worthwhile just carrying around, you know, a screw that's longer than you need with a bunch of steel washers that you're never using. The only other reason I could see to go with aluminum is that the nut can twist inside this plastic if you try to tighten it too much. That could be a problem down the road. So that's the main reason I could see for purchasing the aluminum piece. So we're gonna have 4 more bearings now, 2 from above. Might as well press them in now, since it shows them in the diagram. So we're gonna obviously need them in the next step. The next set of steps. Of course, that one feels like it's gonna slide out. Might not. Okay, so there we go. And these turnbuckles can be set aside along with this hardware. I'm getting a real collection of fine black steel hardware, not just from this kit, because this is not the only kit that I'm using a lot of titanium on. Okay, so now we need to go into bag J. We got a couple of big standoffs that are gonna go in under there, underneath the steering mechanism. Bag J, and I have the feeling that at almost any moment now I'm gonna need the chassis plate. So I'm gonna pull that beautiful bad boy out of there. Is that awesome or what? Now, this is one of the things that you got to keep your eye out. Tekno has added a lot of their upgrade parts, not as much as like the TLR 22DS Elite, but or is it DC Elite? Anyway, doesn't matter. This chassis plate is listed as an optional part for the truck as the lightened chassis plate. This is the lightened chassis plate. There is no lighter than this chassis plate. In other words, the older versions of this kit came with a chassis that wasn't milled out like this. So just bear that in mind if you're thinking about how you can improve your car and you see like on the option list of optional parts for the Tekno short course truck, the lightened chassis, you already own it if you've got a 0.3 short course truck. So don't run out and order one thinking that you're gonna lighten your vehicle, because you've already got it as light as it is. set those aside for the moment. Here are those standoffs I was mentioning a moment ago. And we're going to need this. I'm going to need that in a minute. So, we need these two standoffs. And they appear to have a hex cut into them, which is going to key in right there into these cutaways. So that's how we'll be able to hold them to tighten them. So when we're first doing this, we don't need to tighten them down, you know, extremely. So we need two 1443s, which are a 4x10 button head. And we're going to need 5 4x10 button heads throughout this process. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull them all out now. Now, when we start getting into the bigger screws, this is another area where you really start seeing the weight savings of the titanium. And let's just do this for kicks, because I can't resist. No, it's just I spent so much damn money on titanium, I want to know what I'm getting. Okay, 5.66 grams, or 5.7 if you want to round up. And 3.97 or 4. So not half, but a decent savings nonetheless. So let's see, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's what we were led to believe. Okay, so we're definitely going to use a little Loctite here. And there's that little plastic panel. So how does this go? Oh, okay, I think I did something. No, I didn't do it incorrect. But oh, it goes this way. Got it. I had it upside down. They look. It's very early in the morning. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. This is what I go through for you guys. All-nighter. Total all-nighter. Don't want to put a lot on here because the these aluminum standoffs are, they don't have a lot of surface to grab onto. The this little cutaway here, it could strip that very easily, trying to get these off if we glue them in with too much Loctite. Now, I'm going to just kind of finger tight them for the moment, because once these are screwed down to the chassis, then we can come back and tighten these up again. Okay. So, in my opinion, it's more important that we get these situated correctly so they're going to drop into place. So basically we want them horizontal. So now we need to screw this down onto here. Correct? Yes. Okay, that means I need to thread these 2 holes. So I'm just going to use a couple of screws and take care of that. I'm going to go ahead and pause up, Okay, so I've attached the plate here, and here we have our mechanism. So now it's time to attach the steering linkages, and just like down below, we have a bunch of washers we're supposed to use. The recipe for this one is 2 above and 2 below, and my build calls for the stock setting again. So nice and easy, just drop that on in there. And we're going to go ahead and get our hex nut started. Remember, we've got a depression down there that is going to help us hold it, as it were. Now again, you don't need to get these crazy tight, and if you do, you're just going to strip out that plastic nut holder. So that was nasty. So just, you know, get it snug. The nylon lock nut is going to keep it from going anywhere. So that's right, 2 above, 2 below. Really don't see any reason to be carrying, you know, the extra 2 above if you're not going to use them. You know, if the setup doesn't call for them, I would think they would go into a storage box. It's, again, it's unsprung weight, and it's as far out as it gets. It's almost nothing, but it's still there. Okay, so we got that. Now, as you can see, our steering is, you know, way off, but that's just a matter of adjusting our turnbuckles, and I'll do that in a few minutes. And you know what, I'm about to move on to something else here, so I'm going to pause up and get these at least dialed in so they're not crazy. Okay, I gathered the hardware that I'm going to need for this segment. It's looks like it's just going to be a snap to put together. I went ahead and adjusted those turnbuckles. So it's not where it needs to be, but it's a lot closer. So let's start with our bumper, which is the next piece. So we're just going to slide these in here. We have a pair of 3x16 flatheads. This is a nice soft plastic, so I'm not worried about having to pre-thread it. This actually would have been a good place to potentially use aluminum. Okay, so now it is time to attach this to this with this and the chassis all at one time. So the first thing I'm going to do is attach this piece. I went ahead after I did the turnbuckles, and I tapped these holes here with threads, and the 4 holes on the bottom here as well. So let's see, these are okay, so we have a pair of 8s, M4x8s, and we have 6 M4x10s. That's these big flatheads here, and then we have this one button head M4 remaining from earlier. That's going to go on top here, and I did not thread that, so let me go ahead and do that. I'll just do that real quick with a powered driver. That's all it takes. And as you can see, hopefully you can see, there are threads cut in the plastic. It's nice and easy, and it makes putting these pieces in a lot easier. So in any event, as I was saying, we have these 6 here and the 8s. The 2 8s are going to go for the steering standoffs, and 4 of the 10s go to the front block here, our diff case, and the other 2 10s go for this. So I'm going to start with those, and that's these holes right here. As you can see, there's a little piece here that's keyed to just drop right in there. You heard it kind of snap or click or whatever. I'm not going to do it all the way tight until I get this one close as well. Okay, there we go. So now we want to make sure these standoffs are going to drop in to their slots, so you want to turn them so that they are horizontal. And we're going to just drop it right in on top here like this. Okay, we can see the holes through here. There we go. I got 1, I got 2. So now I'm just going to hold them down, and I'm going to take these 2 10s, which both need a teeny bit of Loctite. Put more there. Once these are secure, I can flip it over and I can tighten the top ones that I had to leave a little loose. So I'll do that right now so I don't forget. And remember, they've got Loctite on them, so I don't want to overly tighten them. It is aluminum. Don't want to strip it. Okay, and as long as we are pointing in this direction, let's take this button head and put it on from above. This is a very well thought out design. Things seem to go together with a minimum of hardware, like this assembly here, the way this all just kind of came together so quickly. It's really nice. So now let me just check this this bumper attachment. Okay, so I need to take out. Do I need to take those out? No, those are going to go up. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so I might have to pull back a little bit to get this to slide down. There we go. Okay, let me just show you what's going on here. You got these 2 slots right here, and you've got these 2 little tongues here, and if this is pressing tight, it's hard to get it to slide in. So what I'm doing is I'm just pulling back with my thumb on the shock tower a little bit, and then it just drops right in, snaps in, and you're in business. There's 1 bolt through the front, but I'm going to go ahead and start with these. Okay. And last but not least, we got a small center screw for the front of the bumper. Okay. And then we have 2 screws that go in here. I'm using the wrong screwdriver. Or hex driver. And I really should have pre-threaded those, but I'm already in it, so. Okay, yeah. So, all that is done. And it's time to center mount our diff. Okay, let's rummage up bag K. That is bag K. I'm gonna pause up, get these parts out, trim stuff off the tree, and get ready. Okay, so I went ahead and trimmed a couple pieces, and I tapped some holes for threads, and we are now ready to go. So let's start. What direction does this? It's gonna do this way. And these look like these edges go to the inside. They face each other. And so we're gonna need our 3x8. In your case, it's a cap screw. In my case, I'm using a button head. And yeah, it should face this way. The T is going to, you know, the top of the T goes to the front of the car. A good thing to do would be to slide one of these longer M3s through here to help keep the part oriented. Slide our longer screw through there again. Oh, and I specified clearly that the edges, that the curved edge there needs to face each other, and I did them backwards. At least I caught it before I assembled everything else. Looking forward to watching F1 today. As I recall, last week Mercedes sewed up the Manufacturers' Championship, and unless Hamilton has a wreck or really falls behind, Bottas has to get at least 8 points above him in today's race, or it's over, and Lewis Hamilton will have stitched up his 7th World Championship, which is really impressive. You know, you just can't argue with numbers like that. So, we need our diff, but when? Doesn't look like we're putting it in right this minute. That doesn't even look like it fits there. Oh, there's it. It's going to go down in this little slot there. It still doesn't. That's not exactly a round hole. It's going to be interesting to see how this actually goes together. Okay, so... Oh, that's right, we need 4 of these. Those are 3x12s. I only pulled out 2. Metal on metal. Not gonna tighten that down tight just yet. That is a very oddly shaped thing holding those bearings there. I'm really surprised if that's everything. Just doesn't look like it would be strong enough. But, okay. Okay, now I'm gonna tighten those 2 down. And this is plastic, so no Loctite is needed. I wonder if there are aluminum parts available to replace some of these plastic parts here that are holding the this center diff. It just doesn't look strong enough. Yeah, that's exactly how they have it shown. Okay, so one thing I'm going to add that they don't provide is some O-rings to put in these out drives. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Okay, I'm going to pause up and find it. Okay, these are the O-rings I was referring to. My 8-scale GT car has these. Basically, they tuck them in like this, and it's something to press against either end of the dog bone and help keep them centered. So I'm going to go ahead and put 4 of these, 1 pair for each dog bone. This one's hard to reach. There's no need for any lubrication on them. We're going to lube the dog bones a little bit, but these don't require any. And they just basically act like a soft spring. So... okay, those are going to... Wait a minute, does it face that way? Yeah, it looks like it does. Okay. Just had one drop off the backside there. Okay, so I'm going to start with the two rearward ones here into the plastic. And all of these are the 43s, which means they are the shorter ones. Wrong wrench. I'm starting with these two because they don't require any Loctite. I'll loosen that until I get these two down here tightened up. Oh, that's metal and metal. That needs Loctite. Okay, now it's time to attach the rear clip with our little dog bone in the middle. And I know I pulled out 4 O-rings, but I seem to have misplaced one of them. Okay, I'll just grab another one and hopefully it'll show up sooner than later. I almost forgot. I have this piece. So it goes on here and replaces this and helps attach the rear clip. We'll tinker with that in a minute. In case you're curious, this is an extreme racing product, and it's part number 11431. Okay, so I need to thread those holes. Oh, looks like I found one. Found out where it had gotten off to, at least. I've tapped this hole, and I'm probably not going to need this piece anyway because looks like I'm going to be replacing it with this piece here. So we'll see in a minute. Let me just put this part away before it finds its way off somewhere else. And I'm going to pause up and thread these 4 holes here. Bump the camera again. That's nice and smooth. Takes almost no effort to turn the drivetrain. There's no effort at all. Everything just moves nice and smooth. That's great. It's harder to get that than you'd think. There's a lot of gears going on there and whatnot. And I keep these all slightly loose until everything's tightened down and then they're all in place. Excuse me. Don't want to add any tweak or anything to this. Can't seem to get that one to bite in. I'll try taking this screw out altogether. Still not getting it to bite. Maybe it's this that's in the way. Let's loosen this up and I think I got it now. Or not. There we go. Again, let's keep all these loose until we get everything here started. This seems to be offline, like it's not well made. Well, it's kind of lining up. Got to put a little bit of push into it, but so I'm not going to need that flathead for the bottom because I'm not going to be using this piece, but I am going to need an extra button head over here. That's fine because I got the spares. So Should tighten things down a little bit as far as the chassis goes, because it's locking these three bulkheads together, even though the middle one's plastic. This is very solid, and it's anchored with this piece as well, so that really ties things down. Now the gear just clears that. Probably also helps sturdy up this center section too, particularly this plastic bulkhead over here. The chassis is obviously designed to have a decent amount of flex here in the middle, because there's nothing else tying this center together. So the aluminum chassis is going to provide a little bit of flexibility for the whole front and rear assemblies. And like I said, this thing is just it's just so smooth. That's great. I'm really really pleased with this. So now it's time to do shock absorbers.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.